Hey, it's Riggs. It's June 17th, 2014. This is the next update on my indoor garden. In the past few weeks, we've actually covered a lot of the basics here with these plants over here, including the aloe plant, which is going to undergo a transplant sooner or later. The thyme, I'm almost convinced that it is dead because the leaves look like they're mostly, dried out and dying, and no matter how much I seem to water it, it doesn't seem to really make any progress. Another telltale sign, despite the fact that it's still not brittle, is that the leaves come off easily. Like, they're not solid. Whereas if you go over to something like cilantro, I can move this all around all I want, and the leaves just stay firmly on there. It's kind of hard to compare cilantro, which is a soft leaf, to thyme, which is more of a hard, leafy needle type. And rosemary, on the other hand, it doesn't do that, so that's probably a good one to compare it to. It's actually doing quite well, and still smells quite good. So it's just a very slow process for the rosemary. And the oregano downstairs is doing quite well. I'm not sure which one of these branches I'm going to clip first. Probably one of the ones pointing more towards us now because they're just outreaching so far. And I had to move it over here, not because of the oregano itself or even the cactus, but it's because we've got the, I like to consider it the hopscotching strawberry plant. As you can see, it just really did reach out quite far. So that's why I have that. So I have these two here, plus these two here that I've added. And moving over, we also have these four here. And the way I did it with these ones is I slightly planted the stems themselves so that the plant will pretty much stay in place, because these stems keep on trying to reach towards the window, and that's just not what we want, because I don't have a planter that's right size for the window. As for the tomato plant, it's actually doing quite well, and I was right. It took about 2 weeks, and now it's pretty much at the exact same height as the shelf. Actually, it's just a hair taller, believe it or not. And, of course, what's starting to steal the show is the tomatoes. And the tomatoes are doing quite well. This is the largest one that we've been covering for the past 2 weeks. That's actually a good sign. This one here, it's got kind of like a pumpkin look to it, but I don't mind. It's still going to be a tomato. Doesn't bother me. And as I mentioned before, each one of these flowering sets is pretty much going to be a cluster of tomatoes, because they start out as a flower and then become the tomato. And as you can see with this tomato here, eventually they do lose that. But with this tomato up here, you can see the stem if the camera focuses. This thing's really not that great. I'm using a Samsung phone, and it just doesn't want to focus when I want it to focus on. It thinks the buildings in the background are more important. Well, I've tried. As you can see, though, there is a little stem thing coming off of the tomato. That's actually the remnants of the flower. There we go, finally got it to focus. That's the remnants of the flower. So they eventually lose it. Like the big one already lost it, so that's why you rarely ever see them on your tomatoes when you buy them from the grocery store. And I took the jalapeno plant back, not back like to the store or anything. I took it back further in the apartment because it is got more aphids on it. I counted at least 5 more aphids on it, and that's probably because I stopped using neem oil after I stopped finding them. So I'll probably just keep reapplying the neem oil and see where it goes from there. Hopefully they'll be all gone, but it's been quite a long trek with just having the aphids on there. There are no peppers showing on it, no flowering yet, so I'm not too hopeful for having jalapenos this year. Anyway, any questions or comments, please leave them below. If not, make it a great day, and DFTBA.